Some Republicans actually crossed over and voted for the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which is, let's be clear, the bare minimum for it to be called a bipartisan infrastructure bill. So I don't know why this was so shocking to the right, but a few actually did. And again, not shocking because a lot of the money was already allocated. It doesn't involve that much extra money. It doesn't really do anything on the revenue side. So it's not as directly threatening to entrenched economic interests. Also, a lot of the money is gonna go towards helping out corporations. Like that's sort of baked into its DNA. And so in the end, with all of that, you get 13 House Republicans that vote for it. And let's be clear, if not for those 13, it would have actually failed. Now, some people are very angry about that, including Donald Trump, who put out one of his quasi tweets that said, it's longer, I'm not reading the entire thing. He says, how about all those Republican senators that voted thinking that helping Democrats is such a wonderful thing to do, so politically correct? That's not what that means. They just don't get it. Now they'll go for the big kill, getting their second 1.9 trillion, really 5 trillion, approved. Again, with Rhino's support, all Republicans who voted for Democrat longevity, what? Should be ashamed of themselves, in particular Mitch McConnell. This guy never misses an opportunity to ass all over Mitch McConnell. I don't know what the 5 trillion thing is. I guess 1.9 trillion wasn't impressive enough, so he just made up a bigger number. I wish it was 5 trillion. But they did it to be politically correct. Francesca, I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of everything. Everybody's so stupid.
Wokeness made the wokies were pressured into getting rid of the lead paint. This is and again, like if there is any Republican watching, which there probably isn't, but if there are people who have Republicans in their family, please send this clip to them and understand that your former president and the right-wing movement does not care whether you live, die, fall into a pothole forever and ever and ever. They would rather your community crumble. They would rather you get poisoned if it means that they can score political points against Democrats. And honestly, we say on this show the Democrats don't do that enough, but I'm also not the one to say that, yeah, you should hold out forever and ever and ever. If a bill is good, I think, yes, something is better than nothing. But understand that the right wing does not care about that at all. They will stand on your deceased body if it means that they could score a political point and win re-election with it. Doesn't matter.
Jeez. Yeah,
they already have. Sorry.
That's true. And there are a lot of them. It used to be a chicken in every pot. Now it's a pothole everywhere. You can't escape it. Not even chickens can escape it. But anyway, others are targeting these 13 Republicans as well. Matt Gaetz, his ears perked up as soon as he heard the number 13. He tweeted, I can't believe Republicans just gave the Democrats their socialism bill.
Jesus.
That is deep thoughts with Jack Handy. It's just, he just really cut to the core of that issue. Their socialism bill. It literally gives the money to corporations. Like it's corporate socialism to some extent. I mean, in terms of benefiting that, they're so stupid. Anyway, to give you an idea of, because I've been really trying to stress how much of everything they say and do and we hear is designed to stop you from ever thinking about the material condition of your life and why it's not improving and why it's unlikely ever to. He tweeted also, there have been 5 defining votes for Republicans in the 117th Congress: impeachment, J6 committee, remove MTG, Bannon, Biden spending bill. Representative John Katko voted against us on all of them. He is the GOP leadership on the Homeland Security Committee with support from leadership. Well, he's leadership, so that doesn't make sense. Anyway, so what are the 5 defining votes? What are the only things that matter? It is, hey, Donald Trump tried to overthrow the government. Let's not have consequences. The J6 committee, which is that's the same exact thing. Let's not find out what happened, no consequences. Remove MTG, which is she was saying absolutely insane things. Let's not have any consequences. Bannon didn't comply with the J6 committee. It's literally the same thing as the second thing. And the Biden spending bill, which he is never going to engage on a single actual provision. He is never going to make the case to you why these specific things are bad or why you shouldn't want them. He will just imply in as vague a sense as he is allowed to, and it's the Republican Party, so it's quite vague, that it is bad, that Biden should lose, even if it means that you lose too.
Yeah, drink out of lead water pipes. What happened in Flint, that's good for us because we can blame the Democrats. More children with lead poisoning. Let's go. That's essentially what they're saying. Socialism bill, my God. Oh, don't you have a few Venmo requests people are reminding you about right now, Matt Gaetz? Remind.
Which is the better point? Is it I can't believe Republicans just gave the Democrats their socialism bill? It's so lazy. Or Madison Cawthorn, who said, vote for this infrastructure bill and I will primary the hell out of you. But it doesn't even, you're already in Congress. Like you can't, how many of these races are you gonna run in? Like I get that you probably can have multiple homes, but just think about the mileage on your car driving to get elected here and then get elected there. It's too much for any one person.
Wait, does Cawthorn have like a twin, like an exact double?
I don't know. I would not be surprised if there were several of them. Anyway, yeah, I'm primary the hell out of you. Anyway,
also all that language is like super ripped from the squad. I'm gonna primary the hell out of you. Like again, it's so sad to see the right actually take the good points from the squad and the left because the Democrats run from them so much.
Yeah, and look at it. I don't have any problem with him wanting to primary people. I have a problem with literally everything else about him and his whole, predatory history and everything, and lies about reprehensible things. But but what will you primary people for? You're gonna primary them because they voted for this like minimal infrastructure bill. Like this is not the reconciliation one. He's talking about the corporate friendly one.
Yeah.
If Donald Trump had ever actually gotten around to infrastructure week, it would have been different, sure. How different? Like he talked in detail about fixing roads and bridges and airports and all that. At one point, Hillary Clinton put out a plan for a $250 billion infrastructure bill, and Trump said he would double it. But it's a socialism bill as soon as those same priorities are actually addressed under a moderate Democrat. And you know what? It's even more than so. Socialism, it doesn't get, I was gonna say something bad. It doesn't have the effect on them that it used to. So Marjorie Greene tweeted, these are the 13 Republicans who handed over their voting cards to Nancy Pelosi to pass Joe Biden's communist takeover of America via so-called infrastructure. And she puts all of them, she actually put their phone numbers in a tweet as well. It's a communist takeover. But everything is a communist takeover. The hate crimes bill was a communist takeover, and the COVID aid was a communist takeover. Everything, man, these communists just don't seem to really stick around after they take over. It's like we're being taken over by just a bunch of fluff. It's like it comes in and then it's gone, and it's ready to come back again. Why does this work? Like if you're a conservative and you're listening to this, like you get fired up about it, right? Why? Every single thing the government can do is a communist takeover. Well, then what is a communist takeover? It doesn't seem that bad if it keeps on happening and life goes on. Anyway,
I don't know what their plan, like I don't know actually, stripped of everything, right? Imagine if the Democrats don't exist. It is an existential question. Does Marjorie Taylor Greene exist if no lib is around to dunk on? Like, what is her politics when everything's gone and there's no CrossFit gym for miles and she's just listening to the sound of her own stupid voice ricocheting in her empty brain? Like, what does she want to do? It's very unclear what they want, like what is their agenda at all? Build another wall, build more wall? Is it still about the wall?
The wall needs walls around it. She actually engaged with a component of the bill, to her credit, which most of them will not. She tweeted, 13 Republicans voted with Pelosi to spend $7.5 billion to build EV charging stations all over America to force Americans to drive CCP battery-driven cars. China dominates the EV battery market by over 80%, and the US can't even compete with less than 10% market share. Okay, well, I have an idea then. Let's try to compete rather than subsidizing the oil industry, which has been around and profitable for a century. Why don't we subsidize a starting up market to eventually be able to compete with them? Like they're gonna be building EV chargers in rural areas. LA already has them. We don't desperately need these. This is gonna go in rural areas. And she's saying you shouldn't have that. You shouldn't have a choice. So I know you might have seen a commercial of Ford coming out with their new Lightning, which seems really exciting. It's an EV powered car or Rivian or Tesla or whatever. No, you don't get to drive that because something CCP. Do you like that? Do you feel free because of that? You're not free to choose certain types of cars, not when you live in rural areas.
Very true. The only time Marjorie will like that car is if she can write the word socialism on it and then blow it up in a campaign ad. That is what they are for.
The EV cars are admittedly harder to blow up. So
yeah, but you're right. She's admitting defeat. She is saying, well, China has the market on all this, so that's why we shouldn't even do it. Well, China also has way more high-speed rails than we do. So what should we do? Just not compete?
Yeah, we don't want to be like taking their thing. Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. No, let's see. If you're a conservative and you're watching this, do you find this convincing? Do you think that you should not be able to buy EV cars and drive them in your area to stick it to the CCP? Or Rachel Campo-Stuffy on Fox said their interest in passing universal childcare and universal pre-K is just to start indoctrinating our kids sooner. Well, that's scary. I am actually very scared about that. So do you think you should not have universal childcare? Your kids should not have access to affordable preschool just so that you can stick it to the libs? Would you like to have, I don't know, one of the parents needs to stay home, or you get like your back broken and the cost of paying for this just to stick it to them? Do you feel better after that? Because this is what they're selling you. Your life should never improve. It should never be any easier than it is. The American dream is going to stay just that. You will never achieve what your parents were capable of. Your wages will never be as high, and your kids will be even worse off. But you will stick it to the libs. So,
but the CCP is going to be triggered by you and your overworked, underpaid lifestyle with your kids sort of unable to pass their classes. Because they're like 35 kids to a class. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like, but the CCP, Xi Jinping is gonna be mad. He's gonna be so mad.
And that makes me feel better. I'm willing to go medically bankrupt if that's what it takes to see him mad.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.